Hey, we're back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show, and let me put the wind warning up on the screen. Woohoo! So that's the symbol for high wind warning, Leah?
I searched yesterday to try to, because I don't like using the same photos every time. Last time we had this big cloud blowing, but it's not really that cloudy today.
Right.
So this was a high wind warning that if you search it on Pixabay,
okay,
it's a free image that you can download and use without any consequences.
Well, we just did.
Yeah, no copyright concerns or anything like that.
You have to be careful with that. You mentioned that. I'm always really, really careful when we share anything or post anything or get photos or stuff, because the last thing you want to do is use something that belongs to somebody else. That can get you into copyright issues. So we're, either I took the photo, or I know who took the photo, or I have permission of whoever took the photo when I try to do these things as much as possible. So.
Oh yeah, Pixabay was something that we learned about at one of our trainings several years ago, and it might even have been one of those touchstone things that we were talking about.
Yep.
So I use it frequently. Yeah,
Excellent.
Lots of good stuff.
So when it's windy like this, I'm sure the crews at CVE are they're standing by and ready in case they're needed. Right.
We talked yesterday about, again, today was weather and what that might entail for our guys and for our community and for our members, that kind of thing. So just in getting prepared for that, I think the last time this happened, we talked about how if you have like a blink in your system or a brief little outage and the wind's blowing like this, it'll trip usually one time, two times, and then that third time is when it will actually go off. Well, in situations like this, when the winds are so high and our vegetation, our ground is so dry, then it's only going to trip the one time.
Okay. That
way we can get there and fix it faster. It takes a little time for the guys to find exactly where that is sometimes, not always. Sometimes the substation guys can find it really quickly, even without leaving the office, but sometimes it's maybe the linemen that are going out and trying to check the lines in person. So it just takes a little while, but the whole outage reporting process is to call the office.
Okay.
That's the most accurate way that we can record your information and follow up with you whenever the power is restored.
Okay, so if you have a power outage, call and you're a CVE customer, of course.
Yes.
You don't want to call for your cousin in Mississippi. That's not going to help if you do that.
We've actually gotten emails sometimes on our web form, which is connected to the website, which comes to member services from other states, because they just look up Central Valley or they look up Central something, and the same thing holds true with Central New Mexico Electric. We'll get emails or whatever for them, and just respond and say, well, I think this is a different area or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's crazy. People though should have just some basic things in their homes in case the power goes out, especially if you've got people with medical needs that are on oxygen or things like that. If the power goes out and the oxygen pump goes out, do you have sufficient bottles there to take care of someone, and do they know how to switch over to that if they have to do that?
And if you have battery packs, be sure that those battery packs are charged. And like with your cell phone too, make sure your cell phone, especially during this time while you have electricity, is charging so that you can use it if you need to. Make sure you have your flashlights. If it's fixing to be dark and the winds are blowing and you may have a concern, make sure you have a flashlight handy.
Well, I have a flashlight handy. It's on my phone.
Yeah.
But that kind of compounds the problem if the phone battery is dead, or you worry about that. Yeah.
We had a call one time that there was an outage somewhere in the night, and I got a call the next morning, and this fellow was a little concerned about being able to contact us in the middle of the night. He couldn't find our phone number. And so we went through a lot of questions on, what if somebody can't find our phone number right away? But we do have these little magnets. We are in the phone book. People, I think, forget to use or look at the phone book, but we are required to have a listing in all of the local phone books. So we do.
Okay.
So you can pick up any phone book that you might have laying around on your desk from years back and even currently, and it will still have our phone number and information in it. So
yeah, there was something on the Excel list that I thought was interesting. They said these are things that you might want to have in your household, and one of them was a non-electric powered phone. And even if you have a landline, there's electricity that powers that phone,
Right.
but it comes in through the phone wire, not through your power wire. And so I was trying to think what would constitute a non-electric powered phone. I couldn't think of
I'm not sure about that because I remember when I was young, we would have power outages sometimes. We lived out in the country, and you couldn't use your phone. You just had to wait it out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just all there was to it. So
yeah, so
I don't know.
that one I was kind of scratching my head on because they had all the other stuff like we've talked about. Have a radio, battery powered radio or TV. Have flashlights. Have some bottled water. Some of these types of things.
Yeah, keep your iPad charged or any of your tablets, that kind of stuff too, so you still have communication. I don't know how that affects the internet if you have that either, but I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs, but just be prepared with what you can be prepared with.
Yeah. Well, I think most of the cell towers have batteries and generators
Backups.
of some kind to keep the cell towers up and running. Now, if the tower itself is damaged by the wind, that's a different...
it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Then they're having to do like what utilities are doing, and that's get crews out when the wind's not blowing 500 miles an hour and try to get those things resolved. We had to have a tower guy climb our tower, and he was originally going to, only a couple hundred feet, but he was going to go out there late last week, and the wind was blowing really bad. We said, no, we're not doing that. So he went up yesterday morning.
Oh, good.
And got everything taken care of that he needed to take care of.
He beat the wind.
Beat the wind, that's right. So.
Well, I know there is dirt flying and leaves flying, and there is tons of tumbleweeds in this town already this morning, just rolling around.
Yeah. Now, when you do your demonstrations for students, down power lines, do you try to educate the kids on situations on like days like
most
today?
Definitely. There's a very large section on that, and it starts off about, if your school bus is in a wreck, or if any vehicle that you're in is in a wreck and it runs into a power pole and that power line lands on top of that bus or on top of that vehicle, what should you do? But then Raylan goes on to talk about, what if there is just a down power line? Stay away from it. And then Brad talks about, or I talk about, just how the different phases of energy happen at a down power line. So it's always the strongest at where it's landed. So whether that be on top of the vehicle or whether that be on the ground. And then it kind of dissipates, almost like when you throw a rock in water. It has the different phases kind of. So it's the same kind of concept. So you have to figure out how to be safe in that area, stay put, and only leave if something's on fire. So, I mean, there's a big section on that. We talk about that for several minutes.
Yeah. So what do you say if you're in a car or around a down power line? Is it okay to use a cell phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
So.
And that's your main thing. And we always tell people, too, so that kind of circle of energy is for anybody going in that circle or coming out. So if you've got somebody that's coming to help you, you've got to be able to alert them too to stay away from that circumference of the accident.
Right.
So
maybe the kids will remember some of this stuff.
I think they do. We have we did a training recently with Mr. Seifert, John Seifert, and we did that for Collins Tree Services. And he's run into a few people before that recalled different things from our demonstrations that we did back when he was at school. Not only that, but the stuff that he taught them as well. So that was a very interesting day. We all learned a lot, I think, from each other. And but Collins Tree Services now knows a lot more than they did before.
Well, that makes sense because if they're getting up in trees where there's lines, whether it's power or cable or internet or other lines like that.
Such a good group of guys, too. They asked a lot of questions and very responsive to discussion. So that's always nice. That's the thing that we really look for. And it seems like people learn more by the questions that the other people might ask, whether it be kids or adults.
Yeah.
So that just prompts a lot of different other teaching opportunity.
Do you do safety demonstrations for other businesses and industries?
Yes, absolutely. For free.
For free?
Yeah, it's part of what we do.
Don't even have to buy you lunch or anything?
Oh no, not necessarily. No, we do, and we like to go to other locations, but we also host them at CVE.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to be a CVE member?
You can be a business in our service territory.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be in our particular lines or our particular lines. We do Navajo.
Mm-hmm.
We do the school buses. We do, just all kinds of places that may not necessarily receive power from us, but they are a local business. So
in your territory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Artesia, anywhere between Artesia, Roswell, Local Hills, Hope, Dexter, just wherever our lines extend to. We don't go into Lee County a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We've been asked multiple times to come over there, and it's just not really feasible to make that trip. But we can go anywhere where we serve.
That's interesting. Is there a minimum size group that someone needs to have gathered together?
You might have to ask the governor that, but...
Oh, I wasn't thinking from the masking thing. I was just thinking for what's practical, to go out and set up everything and do a demonstration.
Well, I remember when I first started, and we had just gotten that trailer, and all of the training was new, and Concho asked us to come out to their facility out in the industrial park. And they were also doing that kind of surrounding a luncheon, and we did it in 2 different sessions, like a morning and an afternoon. There was probably 100 people in the morning session and another 100 in that afternoon.
Yeah.
And it was at their facility, which worked really well. They served lunch to their employees throughout that, period, and it worked great. So if you have a facility that's large enough and you have even a microphone setting where we can speak into that, it works great. The other day we had 10 or so in our little old warehouse, and it worked great too. So it just kind of depends on the location and the space.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's good. Well, Terry Hill, the mayor pro tem, was saying that the fire department's taken some of their older vehicles and they're, getting rid of them, but they're keeping 3 of them so they could do their training with them. And I was kind of thinking, you guys have one of those electric cars.
Yeah.
You could do some safety demonstrations with that at some point in time.
The Artesia High School people got to take a look at it in the automotive department a few weeks ago, like for an entire day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, our mechanic and Raylan went over there for the day and taught the kids about the Tesla and all kinds of cool stuff. Sometimes the kids know more about these things than we do. When we were at the career fair, the kids were just, but they had music playing and we didn't even have the car on. So, they had everything.
They hacked your car?
They did. They had it all figured out.
That's funny.
I know. But, and that's another thing. We've been at the safety complex multiple times over the years. We haven't been in the last 2 years, but that building itself holds a lot of people. And again, we have to do that in sequence because you can't get all of the city of Artesia employees in the same place at the same time or nothing would function.
Right.
So we would do, this group or that group. And sometimes we've had kids out there when they do their safety week or whatever, but they've been coming to our facility the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So
just reach out to you or Raylan
or Brad, and we can get you on the calendar, and we'll figure out what your needs are. We can specify that training to your business. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
I think it's good stuff. Holiday hours?
Holiday hours. We are closed Friday, December 24th and Monday, December 27th. And we will be closed that following Friday, December 31st for New Year's.
Okay.
And then be back at it on the 3rd.
Very good. Got about a minute left. Anything else?
No, just call us if you do have an outage. If you have any concerns about the wind or preparing for an outage, call us at 575-746-3571.
Very good. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. Well,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Well, don't blow away.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. That's going to conclude the